One of the things that Donald Trump ran on was an anti-establishment, anti-Wall Street message. It's one of the main reasons he won. He was a Republican who decided to take this outsider approach. Republicans, for the longest time, haven't realized that you have to pretend to be outside of the system, or at least pretend to be for the people. You can't run like Mitt Romney did and basically say, yeah, I'm an insider. Isn't that wonderful? Vote for me for like the status quo and stuff. I like representing corporations. Yeah. So Trump was a little bit more intelligent in his approach and knowing what would resonate with the people. So he would go after Wall Street, go after the establishment. And I want to take a minute here and just look at one example from the campaign. I mean, I could give you a million different examples. You guys remember the rhetoric very well, how he was way more populist than all the other Republicans. But let's take a look, and then we'll come back, and I'll give you the news from today.
You know, I'm self-funding my campaign, so I don't have any pressure, okay? I don't have pressure. I'm going to do what's right for you. Like Cruz tells you about Wall Street and the big bad bankers and this and that and all the stuff. Now, he didn't put down on his personal financial disclosure form that he borrowed $1 million from Citibank and Goldman Sachs. He didn't say that. He left it off, which you're not allowed to do. You know, that's a big violation. I don't know what's the recourse, but it's a big violation. But in fact, one of the guys mentioned this morning that, was sort of debating him out front. What about Goldman Sachs? Guy knew what he was talking about. He left out the $1 million, didn't put it down on his personal financial disclosure form. And then he'll come and tell you about how he's going to protect you from the banks. Let me tell you, Goldman Sachs and Citibank have him totally under control, folks, believe me, okay? He may talk, but believe me, they have him 100% under control. Me, I'm not taking money, so it's very easy, okay?
Now, by the way, that's actually totally true about Ted Cruz. The banks do have him under control. They also had Marco Rubio under control, Jeb Bush under control. Yes, they had Hillary Clinton under control. No doubt about it. You know who else they had under control? Donald J. Trump. So, Donald Trump picked Goldman Sachs' Steve Mnuchin for Treasury Secretary. What happened, man? You were saying, the banks. Well, Wall Street's got him under control. Goldman Sachs got Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is going to do whatever Goldman Sachs wants him to do. You picked Steve Mnuchin, who was with them for 17 years. You picked him for Treasury Secretary. By the way, Steve Mnuchin also ran One West Bank, and One West Bank was directly involved with a lot of reverse mortgages, so they foreclosed on a lot of grandmas and grandpas during the financial crisis. So basically, this guy was doing the opposite of the skill set required to be something like Treasury Secretary. His whole career was based on greed and being an ass to the poorest people and foreclosing on people. And now all of a sudden he thinks like, yeah, no, I should be Treasury Secretary. And Trump's like, I agree, totally. You have the skill set, which is the opposite of the one you need. So yeah, come on, that's what you're going to do. So he was with a criminal organization. Trump said, Treasury Secretary, that's what I like. He also went on to pick the president of Goldman Sachs, a guy named Gary Cohn, for chief economic advisor. I'm going to come back to Gary Cohn in a second. And now the news from today is, because we already knew those other two, we already had two Goldman Sachs lackeys in his administration in top positions, but he picked Goldman Sachs banker James Donovan as Deputy Treasury Secretary. That's a guy who's been with Goldman Sachs since 1993. Now, why is that important? That's important because it's true. Bernie Sanders said it on the campaign trail a million times. The business model at Goldman Sachs was fraud. So what they did leading up to the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession is they would sell packages to unsuspecting clients and tell them they're going to make a lot of money. These were subprime mortgage packages, but they were all rated AAA because they bought the ratings agencies too. Giant corrupt circle jerk is what it was. But then they turn around and bet on those same packages that they just sold like they were awesome. They would turn around and bet on them to fail. So you make money two ways. Selling it to your suckers, the clients who you're taking advantage of, and then saying, I know this is going to fail, so I'm going to bet against it. That's just fraud. That's like the textbook definition of fraud. And Trump looked at those guys and said, yes, I want to pack my administration with lackeys from that criminal organization. These are people who should simply be in prison. Now, furthermore, Trump also was lying in that clip when he said, I'm self-funding my campaign. That's just not true. He's not self-funding his campaign. So, of course, he took money from financial institutions. But furthermore, there's actually another level to Trump's corruption, which is he has over $1 billion in personal debt that's mostly held on Wall Street. So stop and think about that. There's the standard kind of debt that politicians have, which is we took campaign contributions from various special interests. So then when we get in power, we basically have to pay back those special interests by passing legislation that's favorable to them. But Trump has the extra level of, it's not just campaign contributions, it's also personal debt. So what do you think will happen with that? What'll happen is they'll sit down and, they renegotiate this debt from time to time. And now that Trump is president, you make some deals and you say, look, maybe if you wipe my debt slate clean, we take care of this, special tax loophole for you, or this giant subsidy, this corporate welfare check, this offshore tax haven, whatever, giant government contract. I mean, this is the way that this stuff works. So on top of this guy, James Donovan, who Trump now picked for Deputy Treasury Secretary, working at Goldman Sachs for all those years, he also picked a guy named David Malpass for Treasury Undersecretary. Now, this guy, I love this. He served as a former economist at Bear Stearns prior to its 2008 collapse. So you pick a guy who was, in a key position, a top position at Bear Stearns, which collapsed. So obviously, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing because he was at Bear Stearns and he did not say iceberg dead ahead. So you pick a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. He's a proven failure and you say, great, perfect for Washington. Come on in. You want to know why? Because again, it's not about actually keeping the economy together and looking out for working people. It's about corruption. It's about backroom deals. You know that this guy's going to play ball because he was playing ball at Bear Stearns. So, okay, he's going to be fine with all the corrupt deals. Bring him in. That was always the most hilarious but also depressing argument made when we had the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. You had all these financial institutions collapsing, and we bailed them out, and then they got fucking bonuses. CEOs who bankrupted their own companies, they got bailed out by us, and then they took bonuses. And remember their argument? They said, no, you guys don't get it. Stupid fucking peasants. Understand something. The reason we're paying this out is we have to retain the talent. So what's going to happen? If we don't pay them bonuses, they're going to go elsewhere. They just bankrupted their companies. What do you mean? Retain the talent. They should be fucking fired. They obviously don't know what they're doing, or they wouldn't have bankrupted their companies. It's amazing. The rich never take a haircut. The CEOs and the owner class and the elitists never take a haircut. And then when they fail, we're there to prop them up and bail them out. And the only reason we even bailed them out is because, of course, those special interests had bought the government. So the government says, I'm supposed to look out for the people right now and take care of their tax dollars, but no, I'm going to give it over to you in a blank fucking check. Unbelievable, man. And now these people are totally running the show in Washington. Look, they were before. Make no mistake about it. It's not like Obama wasn't sold out to Wall Street. Of course he was. It's not like Hillary Clinton wouldn't have been sold out to Wall Street. Of course she would have been. But Donald Trump, who was, oh yeah, Mr. Anti-Establishment, look at me, I hate Wall Street. Anyway, I'd like to pick 27 different people from Goldman Sachs for my administration, please. Drain the swamp is what he said. He's draining the swamp in your mouth. So I told you guys I'd come back to Gary Cohn, who's the president of Goldman Sachs, who Trump picked for his chief economic advisor. The reason why I wanted to come back to him is this incredible fact, which people don't bring up nearly enough, but they should. When he left Goldman Sachs to go work for the administration, he took an exit bonus of $285 million. Yeah, there's nothing fishy about that. An exit, but do you get an exit bonus if you leave your job? If you're a teacher or construction worker or something? Oh, hey, Fred, by the way, I know you're leaving, but here, take $1 million. No, that's not a thing. They made it a thing. They made it up. Why? Because they want favoritism and special deals within the administration. So, hey, here, take $285 million and you know who to look out for, right? Guys, the corruption is so gross and so open that it's amazing any of us take it. And by the way, the media is the most disgusting, organization or group of people or industry or whatever the fuck you want to call it in the country. Because, again, you want to talk about scandals. Here's your real scandal. This is as scandalous as it gets. A fucking exit bonus of Almost $300 million? I wonder if that guy's going to look out for Goldman Sachs over the American people when he's fucking chief economic advisor. Of course he is. It's so fucking gross, man. You know who else got an exit bonus? Dick Cheney. When he left Halliburton. And you know what happened? We waged the war in Iraq and they got a no-bid contract and they made a tremendous amount of money. Because their guy was inside the White House. Now you have Goldman Sachs guys inside the White House. There is no doubt. There's no way. Goldman could do anything and get away with it now. I mean, they did it before. They fucking did it before. They're going to do it again. That's the bottom line.